You might know that your child should be going to bed earlier, but you've got so much to do in the evening, it almost seems impossible. Well, today I'm going to show you 3 easy hacks to speed up your evening so that bedtime can happen earlier and more peacefully. And now, if there's one specific thing that always seems to throw off the evening and just throw everything into chaos, you're not going to want to miss hack number 3. If you've been following along with me, or really just doing any research about how to improve your kids' sleep, you notice that everybody says that they should have a nice early bedtime. Earlier than you're probably doing now, and maybe earlier than you might think. Now, if this is your first time hearing this advice, or you still feel like you need some help nailing down the exact time they should be going to bed, check out this free resource that I have. I'm going to link to it under this video. So many families are like, okay, we should have an early bedtime, but it's just not possible. We've got so much stuff jam-packed into the evening. We wouldn't have time to eat dinner or have any playtime. But I don't want you dismissing this very important piece of advice, just assuming that you're too busy to make it happen. Just kind of thinking this is for other families that have more time than you. No, this is for you too. I want you to ask yourself a different question. I want you to think, what could I do to speed up the evening and make bedtime earlier? Now, I just want you to sit with that question for a minute. Just sit with it. Let your brain come up with some ideas. Now, it may take being intentional and coming up with some new strategies, but in most cases, it is possible to streamline your evening. And the benefit to you and your child for having an earlier bedtime is going to be so worth it. So here are my top 3 hacks to speed up your evening so that you can move your toddler's bedtime earlier. All right, the first hack is changing up family dinner. Now, one of the biggest obstacles to an early bedtime that I hear about all the time is family dinner. So for one reason or another, dinner has to happen late, and then that pushes bedtime late. So maybe it's that one parent doesn't get home until late and everyone's kind of waiting on them before they eat dinner. Or maybe everybody gets home from, work and school a little bit late, and then you've got to cook dinner, so it pushes that dinner time late, which then pushes bedtime late. This is exactly what happened to my family. So when my kids were little, both of us were working outside of the house. And so by the time that we would get home, our evenings felt so hectic. Everything was crunched. We had dinner, bath time, playtime. Everything felt so crunched, and our kids were still going to bed too late. So one of the things that really changed the game for us was redefining family dinner. So I love the idea of family dinner, and I really wanted to keep that for our family, but I knew I had to kind of streamline our evenings. So here's what I did. I started serving the girls something easy, like leftovers from the night before. Then we would all sit together as a family while the girls ate, but my husband and I just wouldn't eat. So we were still sitting there together. We're having that experience. But then we'd put the girls to bed early. Once they were in bed, then we would have a chance to cook and eat kind of in peace. It was actually wonderful because when I was cooking, my attention wasn't being split in a million directions with kids hanging off my leg, And then once my husband and I could actually sit down and eat and not be distracted with kids and trying to shove food in our face, we could actually talk to each other and have a glass of wine. It was actually really nice. Then we would take leftovers from that meal and feed them to the girls the next night. So it really helped to streamline our evening, make eating and cooking actually much more enjoyable, and make it easier for us to get our kids to bed. So this is your first hack for speeding up the evening, redefining family dinner. Hack number 2, skip the bath. Another big evening obstacle for lots of families is bath time. So in most cases, kids either love the bath and it's impossible to get them out of the bath, or they hate bath and it's a huge battle to get them in the bath. Or for some kids, like my own kids, giving them a bath actually energizes them. It's not calming or relaxing at all. So for me, giving my kids a bath was like giving them ice cream. It was not something I could ever do right before bed. So let me give you permission to give up the every night bath. Now, some families don't like this idea, and it's totally a personal preference. I get it. But as I understand it, unless your kid is really, really dirty, their skin doesn't actually need to have a bath every night. So you could certainly use wipes or a washcloth to wash their face or their hands and their feet, but you don't have to do a full-on bath every single night. You could skip it. You could do every other night, or you could just skip nights where you see that they're really cranky and you really want to get them to bed early. It's okay to skip the bath. Hack number 3, Move that one tough part of the bedtime routine to a different time. Now, sometimes it's the bedtime routine itself that can really make the evening drag on and on and on and on. Maybe your child just loses it every time they have to brush their teeth or it's time to put on their pajamas. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's just one thing that kind of sets them off every night, and it's usually the same struggle every night. Let's take putting on PJs as an example. So it's time to go to bed and you say, okay, it's time to get your PJs on, and then your child just has a full-on meltdown. Or maybe if it's not a meltdown, there's just something about putting PJs on that always throws everything off. Maybe your child always hates the ones that you pick out for them, or they complain that they're too tight or they're too hot or they're too itchy. It always seems to be an issue. So instead of actually kicking off the bedtime process by saying, hey, it's time for bed, let's put on your PJs, try moving PJs to a different time of the evening. And it's great if you can move it before something they enjoy. So you can say something like, all right, let's go get our PJs on and then we can watch Paw Patrol for a few minutes. This can make putting PJs on a lot easier. Sometimes just rearranging these tasks that usually throw bedtime off can really change the mood and make the whole process run much more smoothly. So what other ideas can you come up with to speed up your evenings? Share your ideas in the comments.